it's like saying to back on the lyrics to make up. You got this. If you can understand what I'm saying there. That's with the stop. And then you got this space between. To make up your own lyrics and do whatever you like. Cause the trick is to come back on the beat and just have some fun. So that's lick number 1. So lick number 2. This is a cool one. I use this a lot. And it's a
So this might be a little bit difficult to articulate. The next day, my car was scheduled to go into the shop to get a bunch of repairs done. 4 new tires, oil change, transmission service, alignment, and inspection. So I knew this was gonna be super costly, and at minimum, I would have no car for a full day. I came up with a solution. To offset my costs, I was going to recycle my scrap hoard, but that still leaves us with no car for the day. So my plan was to rent a U-Haul truck. But my dad doesn't need his truck tomorrow, so he's gonna let me borrow it. And I offered to give him some money, but he said no, so I'll just, fill it up and stuff like that. So I have a bunch of scrap metal that I've been saving up forever. Everything is out in my garage, and when I say garage, it's barely that. Before I got here, this whole town flooded bad, so at some point it has to be knocked down. But for now, basically use it as like a shed. I guess I shouldn't be that embarrassed. People see it every day when they drive by, but it's different putting it out on the internet, So this is a box of wire my brother gave me the other day. That's the shit I got for my dad. I'm over here at my parents' house, and right before I was leaving, my dad told me, like, oh, are you ever gonna take that? Oh, I took it. And as you can see, it's filling up the backseat of my Accord, because that's the vehicle I have. People have sometimes commented like, oh, I can't. I take that as a compliment. Take addiction out of it. They're driven, nothing's stopping them. They don't care what people think, and they're not too good for anything. I know tons of Americans that find those 3 qualities, they'd be so much better off. They're too good for everything, but they're broke. I don't get it. You don't want to be embarrassed driving around like this, but you don't have any money. You got to figure it out one way or another. And some of this stuff I've already gone through and processed, but I got to get it all ready to go for tomorrow. I started off by cutting up the radiators that I'd gotten. Now, most of this was just to condense them so that they would fit easier into the truck, but also to do a little bit of cleaning up along along the way.
Here's a good example of something that you actually do need to watch out for. That's not copper, it's brass, so that can really devalue this. The only way you can really tell is like it's thicker and pitted. Brass is cast, copper usually is.
Now, one thing to note, don't try anything you see here at home. I'm not using this bandsaw correctly. Use it according to the manufacturer's directions. I'm a trained professional. Now, the other thing is you can easily cut them up with bolt cutters if you don't have a bandsaw, but bandsaw is quicker. You also use a sawzall, but blades are way more expensive and you chew through a lot more of them. And then lastly, wear a belt. What happens is your pants start to fall down over time. Next, I started going through the electronics that I bought from the junk store over the winter. I had already taken out all the PCBs and things like that, but there was still some wire, and aluminum, and different things. And then lastly, I had to take the ends off of an AC coil. That was also in that box of junk. The ends of the AC coil are steel, but it's super easy once they're cut off to pop off the copper elbows, and it's worth a ton more money than either of the other two materials.
You don't have to do all this stuff, but separating different types of metals makes you more money. But also, if you bring in like all stuff mixed together, not cleaned up, the scraper is just going to give you whatever the lowest metal in there is. Now, if you have trouble telling the metals apart, the easiest way to tell is with a magnet. All non-ferrous metals won't stick to a magnet, so we know this is copper.
Now, I was also trying to clean up the garbage as I went because my plan was to also go to the dump the next day until finally.
Alrighty, so I think I'm going to stop there for tonight, and then tomorrow I'll have a little bit more time to go through as well as I'm taking stuff out and putting it into the truck. I'm hoping to do 2 scrapyard runs and potentially 2 dump runs tomorrow. Alright, it's now 8:21 in the morning. I've been editing. Now I'm going to get out there and start loading up the truck. I have a bunch of sheet copper. I want to put that on the bottom because that's the most volatile to blow out. I am going to really need to pace myself today if I want to get everything done. I'm going to take it nice and easy.
So I got to work. I started unloading the garage, and because I had multiple buckets of the same material, I started staging it out in my yard. So brass in one pile, number 2 copper in another, was not only to see what I had, but also make my trips more efficient.
All right, so I've been at it for about an hour now. So what I'm going to do is bring all the crappier stuff first and do the better stuff second. All the sheet copper I'll bring in first one, aluminum, motors, battery, anything like that that is not as valuable, then you're kind of incentivized to go again. So.
Hi Andy, what time are you guys open till today? Okay. And then what's your price on number 2 copper? $350? All right, awesome. Thank you very much. Yes, what's your price on number 2 copper today? Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. So one was $350, and that's only about a half hour from my house. The other one is $355. I know them, they're good, but it's an hour away. The reason why I was debating is not necessarily about just the price, but it's more about the honesty of the scrapyard and the scrap buyer and how fair they are. There's a lot of shady stuff that scrapyards do. If you haven't dealt with that particular place before, it can be a huge risk because you're basically in their hands. So for example, when I was young, I had brought a bunch of metal to my normal scrapyard. Now my normal scrapyard had got bought out by a corporate scrapyard. The scrap buyer, the person that you deal with that weighs and inspects and gives you the ticket for all the different metals that you have, didn't speak any English at all. So I couldn't communicate with the guy in any way. I had one brass fitting that had fallen into my bucket of copper that was cut off. It was an honest mistake, obviously. It just fell in there. I didn't realize it. When I looked at the ticket, the guy had given me copper and brass mix. It's usually at least $1 a pound difference. And so I'm pointing to it and I'm trying to ask him, like, why the hell did you... And he brings me over to the bucket and shows me that one brass valve. Now, the issue was he had already emptied out all the buckets. So it's not like he could change it or I could even fight it or anything. So I lost at least $100 on that load. That isn't normal. A normal thing is if a scrap buyer sees that, the most they'll ever do is they'll pull that out. So that's kind of the risk that you run when you're going to a new scrapyard. I'll go give the closer one a shot. I think at most I might have 200 pounds of copper. 100 pounds would mean a $5 difference. It is a lot longer drive and I'm gonna have to go there twice. This is all kind of lower dollar stuff. So we'll see how it goes. So this is my first time coming here. It's a little bit in the ghetto. I like it. It's kind of just like more old school. They only have one dock waiting right now in line. There's only one guy in front of me. It doesn't look like he has a lot. So I unloaded the truck. First trip down, you'll never believe how much that was. $1,440. I would have never guessed that. I thought my total would be that much. Holy shit. All that cash, I felt like a walking lick leaving that place. But then it was time to get gas. So 93 bucks down the tube. So not a bad start to the morning. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hit the dump today because they only close at 3. My dad asked me if I could meet him at 4:30 today. I have all that Bear Bright copper at home. Been selling it on eBay. I'm thinking about bringing it with me if I have the space for it. I'll give them a call and just see where their prices are at, if they'll work with me a little bit. This is so much easier work for me than like editing video or doing computer work. Maybe it's just my long line of peasant DNA. I am gonna put this as part of my month-long videos. I didn't know if I was gonna do a dedicated video on this, but after that first run, it was way too good. I don't know how we're gonna do on the whole day, but. Hi, yeah, what's your price on Bear Bright? Can you give me a little bit better rate if I have a lot of it? I don't know, like between 100 and 150 pounds. Spot price, yep. All right, sounds good. I'll bring it in. Thank you.
recording. Hey, I don't know if you guys heard that, but 375. I asked them for a little bit better price. If I have over 100 pounds, they'll give me 390. So I don't know if I do. I had like 140 something, but I sold some of it. So I'm just not 100% sure. I just weighed these 69 and 67, so that's 130 something. I don't remember exactly how much these weigh. I don't know, maybe 12 pounds. So I'm cutting it pretty close, but I think I should be able to get it there. That's another 400 bucks. Oh, not bad. Hey, Andy, sorry to bother you again. You quoted me 350 a pound earlier on number 2. I have like, I don't know, 300 pounds of minimum. Can you give me a little bit better rate on that? All right, sounds good. I appreciate it. Yep, 360 and 390. Perfect, thank you. All right, so I just squeezed another dime out of them on that and 15 cents on the Bear Bright. So not a bad day so far.
So I got the truck all loaded up, and I even used the back seat to hold the wire. Now, this is mostly a highway trip, so I added a moving blanket and straps on top because I really didn't want anything to blow out, especially if there's like a motorcycle behind me or something. But even though I was scrapping, I still had to
Drop off the package to the post office. We'll see how we do this time. All right, so I just got done with the second load, done for the day. It's 2 o'clock now, so I'm obviously not gonna be able to make the dump. $2,000, just over. So that puts our total, I think, just at 3,500 today. I have to do the math. Wow, I never thought it would be that much. I thought it was like 1,500 bucks. I knew it was a lot, but not anywhere close to that much. That was fucking awesome. I stopped on the way home and got McDonald's because you need to have a little celebration after a $3,500 day. It's like doctor money, and we look like a dirtbag doing it, you know? I wound up paying for my car $997. Basically a $2,500 come up on top of that. Goes back to my original point. People will call you people will call you a head. Here's a couple months rent for you, buddy. Stop giving a fuck what people think about you. Swallow your pride and do what it takes. Who the fuck cares what anybody thinks?
Somebody call me a tweaker.
Atheist Manifesto page 51. At the top. Wondering what is this? The same machine present in Kafka's penal colony daily produces the same results in Western courts and their adjacent prisons. The collusion between the principle of the free will and the voluntary choice of evil or good, which legitimizes the notion of responsibility and therefore guilt and therefore punishment, requires the working of magical thinking. There is no place here for Freud's post-Christian projects illuminates through psychoanalysis or the work of other philosophers who highlight the power of subconscious, psychological, cultural, social, feel, and ethological causes of body and mind, even and especially when they think, believe, and call themselves secular, proceed from Judeo-Christian epistemology, so do analysis, teaching, aesthetic, philosophy, politics. All of these are influenced by biblical religious doctrine, yet unabashedly we can all call ourselves true. Christian ignorance. Our failure to recognize the workings of this logic of penetration can be explained if we stress that much of it takes place in the subconscious register, concealed from informed and lucid subconsciousness. Christian ideology is the transmitted insidiously, without the medium of language or overt assertions. Apart from the case of self-acknowledged theocracies, political regimes openly inspired by one of the three books, Judeo-Christian roots of secular practices go unnoticed by most people, including the practitioners, actors, and individuals concerned. The invisibility of this process is not simply the result of its subconscious mode propagation. It is also attributed to ignorance of Judeo-Christian teachings. This includes believers of churchgoers, often undereducated, informed only by the crumbs of information they are fed by the clergy. Sunday Mass has never glittered as a place for reflection, analysis, culture, or a spread of exchange of knowledge, nor as the catechism. And the same could be said for their counterparts in the other monotheist religions. Thus, I fucked up. Thus, no learning occurs while standing in the Wailing Wall or while the Muslims is performing his 5 daily prayers. He prays, he recites. The response is he exercises his memory but not his intelligence. For Christian Frenchmen, both sermons constitute an exception in the 20th century sea of platitudes, and for every Averroes and of look like this. For every Averroes and Avicenne, extensively on their, especially in subjects logic, ethics, metaphysics, and how many hypernumonic and intellectually challenged imams. Knowledge of the religion's structure, understanding of its disputes and controversies, the injunctions to reflect and criticize, criticize the clash of contradictory information, and polemical debate are all resoundingly absent. Polemical. Oh, oh, polemical. Expressing, constituting a strongly critical attack on a controversial opinion about someone or something. Um, polemical. Polemical. The community is marked rather by the triumph of parrot-like repetition and the recycling of fables with the help of well-oiled machinery that repeats but never innovates, which solicits not the intelligence but the memory. Chantings, psalms, recitings, and repeatings are not thinking, nor is praying, far from it. Believers listen to a text by St. Paul for the umpteenth time, but have never even heard of the name of Gregory of Nazianzus. Greg, Gregory of Nazianzus. Nazian. Was a 4th century church father whose defense of the doctrine of the Trinity, Father, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit is one of the holy greatest champions of orthodoxy against Arianism. Arianism. They set up the infant's crutch each year, but know nothing of the founding quarrels of Arianism or the council of icon iconophilia. 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 It is referred to iconophilism. It is the iconophilia or in Greek. This in a positive attitude toward religious use of icon. Iconophilism. Iconophilism. Iconophilia. They commune with the unleavened host, but are ignorant of the existence of the dogma of papal infallibility. Nor is this all. Believers attend Christian Mass, but are unaware that the Church picked this date in order to coincide with the winter solstice, when pagans honored Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. They attend church, christening, weddings, and funerals, but have never heard of the existence of the apocryphal angels. They remove their hats before the crucifix, but they never learn that death by stoning. Damn, I should just. that death by stoning and not by crucifixion was the standard punishment for the crime with which Jesus was charged, and so many other cultural blind alleys resulting from fetishization and rights practices. The prospects for enlightened exercise of one's religion are dim. It all began with the ancient lessons of Genesis. Man is forbidden to seek awareness. He should be content to believe and obey. He must choose faith over knowledge, suppress all interest in science, and instead prize submission and obedience. None of this helps raise the level of the babe. The etymology of Muslim, which according to the dictionary means submissive toward God and Muhammad. The impossibility of thinking or acting outside the Torah, which has laws regulating every tiniest detail and daily of the Torah, which the laws regulating every tiniest detail of daily life. All of these things militating against reason and in favor of submission. It's almost as if religion needs innocence, lack of education, and ignorance in order to thrive. That there exist, of course, men of the class who highly educated in religion, history, and science, but they are dedicated to proving the validity of religious dogmas. Thus, they only add to church arsenal already brimming with spacious arguments, centuries of rhetoric, and millennium of theological sophistry. Whole libraries of scholastic nitpicking have promoted the use of knowledge as a weapon designed less for honest argument than for apologia. Apologia. This was an art that 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 Tertullian exercised brilliantly on behalf of Christianity, an art that required manipulating history to support the ideological agenda of homicists. After all, the term Jesuit is also virtually synonym with casuistry, casuistry. Point out to a Christian that ever since the conversion of Constantine, the church has chosen the camp of the powerful and neglected the weak and the poor. He happily replies triumphantly, what about libertine theology? Forgetting at the same time the liberation theology was condemned by John Paul II, leader and guide of the church, suggests the obvious fact that Pauline Christianity and official nobles decrees the pleasures of the flesh and despises women. He might retort, mystical ecstasy is on a higher plane than carnal ecstasy. There have been many cases of men seemingly possessed by Holy Ghost who fall to the ground, flailing about in orgasm of religious fervor. Women too, notably Saint Teresa of Avila. But the speaker does not realize that in most cases the carnally inclined mystic was discredited during his lifetime, although after his death he may be welcomed back into the bosom of the faithful via beatification, canonization, and other ceremonies dedicated to redemption of yesterday's lost sheep. Mention the massacres of the New World Indians perpetrated in the name of the most Catholic religion and Spanish colonizer denial of soul and humanity of the Indians. Believers will laugh and say, "You're forgetting Bartolomeo de las Casas." Why, does he realize that Las Casas, theoretical defender of the Indians, though he may have been co-signed every book written in the ancient Guatemalans to the flames, and that Las Casas, who believed that African blacks soon to be swallowed up in the transatlantic slave trade, were endowed like the Amerindians with human souls, did not reveal his belief after his death in his will. The same logic drives the interpreters, ayatollahs, and mullahs of Quranic law. They strive and give meaning and coherence to the contrary text in their holy books, juggling surahs, verses, and thousands of hadiths and fine-tuning abrogatory and abrogated verses. Should we point out to them the insistence of hatred on Jews and non-Muslims, that stuff, the pages of the Quran? They should point to the practices of Dima and theoretically intend to assure non-Muslim people of the book of their right to exist and be protected, but they would be careful not to add that this protection exists only after payment of staggering tax, the Giza, which aligns the professed Muslim tolerance with the mafia's protection of an individual's forced to finance the organizations that persecutes him. Another variant on the revolutionary text, these oversights, these defective informations, these reliance on obedience rather than intelligence, empties religion as its authentic contents, leaving only a pallid echo of original more or less compatible with every kind of metaphysical and sociological flavoring, like Marxists who considers themselves Marxists, yet deny the class struggle and reject dictatorship of the proletariat. Many Jews, Christians, Muslims construct for themselves, made to measure morality. This implies selective borrowing tailored to fit their need from their holy books in order to establish rules of play and participation by community, the detriment of all other tenets tenets of the faith. Hence, the disappearance of outward religious practices alongside a strengthening of a dominant epistemology, which brings us to the Christian atheism.